But I'm gonna quickly say why I think the MLS will never be as big as they want it to be, as big as the European leagues, as big as the top Premier European leagues, and that is because it's too American. It's too built on profit. It's too capitalist,
Very
if you will. I
true.
don't want to get political,
Very
but
true.
it's it's too American. It's too much like a franchise, not club. Things like that. I don't know. Give me anything, you guys. Your initial thoughts on the statement like that.
I completely agree. I think we were texting about it a couple weeks ago, and I just mentioned that it's just the way America works that we want to make that dollar, and because of that, it's going to hold us back in some scenarios. So I completely agree.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
I agree to an extent, but also it's the divide between all the clubs is some specifically really big. It's also because financial, a lot of clubs.
Like geographic.
That's
Oh,
cool.
okay.
Yeah,
Um,
like LAFC. You compare LAFC to no, I can't say Revolution. Shit, what's a good dude? What's a bad team right now? San Jose. We'll go San Jose because they're really shit. San Jose. It's like the divide's massive, but San Jose's been around longer than LAFC, but it's just they have more investment, and therefore they're just better because they're able to bring in a bunch of players. San Jose's been consistently bad, so I
yeah,
think
but
it's
okay.
just the divide financially.
I don't know about. I don't want to say that's American though. That's a MLS thing because you could say the same thing for any team in the world. You could say the same thing that um I don't know. Let's say any of the big six, whatever. Let's just say Chelsea.
I'm just saying like the divide's massive to the extent like you know what's gonna happen going into certain games. Like in the Prem, like you'll have the big six versus like a relegation side like West Ham at the moment, and you don't know what might happen. So you just don't know what's gonna happen. But yeah, it's just my viewpoint on it. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
mean, I see what you're saying. I think, yeah, I don't take away anything from it. I think like you could say something for like any, you know, club, any league in the world. But I understand where you're coming from. Um, what did Dago say? Dago said in the group chat. It just came to mind. He said in the group chat when we were talking about it. I can't think of it. I forget what he said. But I mean, yeah. Back to the point. It's just too American. It's too like there's no link almost with the community.
Oh, I remember what I said.
Go ahead.
Um,
Go ahead then.
if we want to mention it, somebody left a comment, which was a very interesting comment. I think we all appreciated it. It was very in depth.
Oh,
Uh, and I don't remember his name.
I
I don't
know what
remember
comment
his
you're talking about now.
yeah, yeah. And this is not to say like this is obviously we love the feedback, we love the involvement. So keep the comments coming. But we were just discussing it and how I kind of disagreed with the fellow at the end. He mentioned how he basically said that at the end the U.S. system is the best system or the way we do in the U.S. and
mm,
that's why we're not going to change to the European system because it's a worse system. And I completely disagreed. The U.S. system isn't the best system in general. It's the best system for making money, sure, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. But it's not the best system if we're just talking entertainment wise. I don't think it is. Do you just because we're used to football games or basketball games having an hour, 2 hours of ads every game, and you're used to it now. Try watching football. You get 15-minute ads, and then it's the rest of the game. Like it's just so much better entertainment wise. But we're just so used to this mindset of constant consumerism that we're not we think it's the best, and it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can almost like it, it's one thing to say it's going to be as big as the biggest leagues in the world. It's another thing to say it's going to be a big sport in America. It is. I mean, it's
Yeah,
getting there.
absolutely, absolutely.
It's getting there. But I think even weird, like you said, we already have NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB. Um, the only way MLS will ever stand out and people are going to start watching soccer in America, specifically these American teams, are are if it is different than everything else. If it's like the exact same as the NBA, NFL, we already have that. We've had that for 40, 50, 60 plus years. So why bring in a similar system the exact same way and think that it's going to do the exact same ratings, revenue, profits, whatever? as like the other leagues. And actually, what you said was not what I was thinking of, but I just thought of what I was thinking of that you had said a few weeks ago. The system works for the rest of the leagues. They can just simply focus on making a profit and not grow to an extent because they're already the best leagues in the world in that respective sport. NBA, easily, no doubt best league. NFL, obviously, NHL, MLB. These American leagues are the best leagues for their respective sport in the world. MLS is far from that. But for MLS to grow to that, they need to be like how it works everywhere else. It's not waiting for the other. It's not doing the system because it works. It's doing the system because it was first. That's that for the rest of the leagues. But because MLS didn't come first by any means, and their success elsewhere, I understand the whole. Let's keep the MLS unique. We're America. We're the best country in the world. Let's keep us unique. Let's not use a metric system. Blah blah. You can't do that if you're trying to actively compete with everyone else in the sport.
Yeah.
You need to accept the fact that they're better at what they do, accept the fact that we're not the best in that specific area, and take some of their stuff. I'm even going to mention promotion relegation because we've talked about it numerous times, but there's other completely different aspects of that. And then, like I said, I mentioned earlier, the whole community thing. There is no community to an extent, but also simply because the USA is too big. Like I like this is gonna kind of sound like I'm just an LAFC junkie right now, but I like LAFC are actively trying to represent themselves in the poor part of the LA community, right? That's something they've built a following on that, which is great, and they won the league last year. But like various places around the league, I'm sure because we're in LA we see it more, but various teams around the league aren't doing that as much. It's just we're going to put a team here. If you want to support it, go ahead. If you don't want to, we don't really care. They're not building a following amongst themselves. They are a little bit, but it's not like we don't want the community to rally. There's no community to rally around us. And that's also because you can go find another professional team 10 miles away if you really wanted to, if you don't like this team.
Yeah.
Which you can do in England too, but I don't know. There's no reason to follow them. And I feel like they need to give them a reason to follow. But if it's just, it just gets boring. It gets boring.
Yeah.
I also think the MLS needs something like we're seeing from these other leagues. The MLS needs a story. The MLS needs something like the Wrexham series on Hulu. They need remember the Sunderland Till I Die on Netflix.
Yeah.
Banging show. I love that.
Yeah.
Iconic, pioneer of the whole kind of idea. And I would reckon that you put Sunderland against most teams that we would vote for Sunderland because of that. Just simply because we love seeing the in-depth part of the team. I've done a FIFA career mode. I know Andres has too. That kind of thing, right?
Killed it. But we're champions.
But there's nothing for the MLS like that. You have even like other sports like F1's Drive to Survive. It's a fantastic series on Netflix. I don't even watch racing, but I keep up with it now because of that show.
Hard Knocks with football.
Hard Knocks, exactly. Last Chance U, things like that. There's so many examples we could use. But even like American things, Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney go to Wrexham. A lot of Americans like Wrexham now, simply because of the fact that there's an American and Canadian owner. There's an in-depth look at them from Hulu, so you can feel more. Even though you're not in Wrexham, you can see exactly what they're saying to an extent, and you can feel part of it. There's even they had a really good chance with the Ted Lasso thing. It's cool. I like it. As a dumb American who doesn't know anything about football, who only knows American football, goes to play in the Premier League. Blah blah. Really good. One of the best TV shows on the market right now, in my opinion. They could have done something similar to that, where he goes to MLS and then you learn about the MLS things and things like that. Someone commented on the video too, but there's no reason for people not within a little tiny radius of the team to want to follow that team. And like you want people from other countries too. You want someone there. I mean, not saying there aren't, but you want someone from like France watching this show about San Jose. no relation at all. But they're like, oh my god, this show's pretty cool. I like this team. Let's follow them. And the MLS doesn't have anything like that. Sadly, I don't know. Would you guys think that might help?
Yeah, it'd be cool. All or Nothing. Get them on All or Nothing, Amazon
Mm.
Prime, because everyone watches that. So get a team, All or Nothing, probably like a bigger team, I would say, just
Yeah.
so a team that a lot of people know about, not LAFC, because I feel
An
like that might
entertaining
be
team.
overdone. Yeah, an
Inter
entertaining team
Miami,
that
Austin,
yeah,
a newer
a newer
team.
team.
Yeah.
Could be Galaxy. They're well known, but like they're depends on the season how they want to play.
Right.
But I don't know, some team that isn't like LAFC. I feel like it's been done. Like there's so many talks about LAFC. I think they did an ESPN episode mini series on it
I
on
did watch that. I
LAFC.
remember that. Yeah.
So different team. I don't know which team. Yeah, like you said, in Miami, I don't care. You can do Columbus Crew. I don't know. Nashville, whatever you want. But yeah, I think that would bring in more audience, more attracted to it, and I think people outside will actually see the MLS is growing in terms of gameplay, if that makes sense. Because I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people, what's the word? Just think about the MLS and think of like absolute like shithousery. They think about the old days where like it was like we had penalties coming from like between penalties that were doing stuff from outside the 18 running at the keeper one-on-one. So it was like they still think of that stuff when they think about the MLS. So
yeah,
I
it's like outdated.
I think the documentary would be a very good look and insight on how the American football culture has grown to an extent. And I think it'd be really eye-opening, and maybe people would watch it more.
And they're not doing themselves any favors because I don't know if you guys know, but like this is the first season they have a deal with Apple TV, and I think I want to say for the most part they're like exclusively streaming on Apple TV, all the games. You gotta pay a little package. I think it's like $15 a month, which is a lot. I'm not gonna pay it for all the teams, blah blah blah. But I don't know how it is in other countries. Like maybe it's like us, like with the Premier League, where we can like watch the Premier League, but sometimes they can't. So it could be the same way, but they're not doing themselves any favors by cutting everyone off by making them by staying behind a paywall and just chilling there and just being like, you got to pay us $15 if you want to watch these games. Otherwise, no, because it doesn't grow. There's no chance of growth there without pirating it or illegally going on like some website to watch it. And I personally don't like it. Apparently, it's a really good service from what I'm seeing, but it's just another reason why we're too American to grow. It's a cash grab. American. It's cutting the league off from everyone else. And it's not like you have like a huge dedicated fan base to do that. You can be like, okay, we can rely on a certain million amount of people that we know we're going to pay this and we're going to make our money. And everyone's going to be happy. But you don't really have that yet. You're still in a period of growth, and you're going to be for the next decade or two. And they're not doing themselves any favor by hiding behind a paywall.
I agree. It's not like the NFL Sunday Ticket where millions of people are gonna buy NFL Sunday Ticket.
They're diehard. There's not enough diehard MLS fans, and that's more circumstantial. Like I said, that needs time. You don't be that unless more people need to grow up with it, right? And you can't grow up with it without time, right? And then you pass it on, blah blah blah. That's why the Premier Leagues the Premier League is so big everywhere, is because your grandpa watched Everton growing up. Your dad did too. Now you do. Like MLS isn't even old enough to do that yet, but one day will. And then the last kind of thing I want to say with MLS, I want to point out. So we already talked about promotion relegation, and in most leagues throughout the world, it's whoever has the most points wins the title. And there's playoffs for promotion most of the time. Should the MLS stick with the playoff format, or should they do a one league table, whoever's at the top wins it, and I don't know, whatever, the CONCACAF Champions League, blah blah, underneath it?
I don't know. I like the playoff format. It's different, but it's also kind of exciting at the same time. But like the thing is, like we did our MLS prediction, and what happened was just the bigger seeds won. So it wasn't like any upsets happened. I think it would be cool if they added relegation in it, and then did like a promotion playoff that way, but kept the normal playoff the same way. So you just have 2 playoffs going. I think that could be interesting. I mean, that would be a lot of confusion, I guess, to figure out what's happening exactly with the playoffs. But I feel like it'd be a unique twist to it. I mean, you'd be adapting to the new system, but as well as keeping the old system. So I don't know. I think that'd be a fun way. But I think promotion relegation would be better as a whole. But I don't think it's financially feasible. So I think that would be a little fun way to do it if we ever did it.
I'm a really big fan of playoff format personally, and I don't think any other league in the world should change. But I think it'd be kind of interesting to see end of the season, the league and the Premier League is determined by a kind of playoff, the top 8 teams or something like that. But at the same time, the Premier League is very much so focused on the way the Premier League, most leagues are formatted. It means every game counts throughout the season. I guess if you kind of do it in the MLS way, less games count, or less games matter as much, right? Because you can win every single game at number 1, win half your games at number 8, and then number 8 can win it all. So I guess it does kind of take away from it, but that's also kind of magical in a way. I don't know, Diego. Do you have any thoughts? Because you haven't said anything.
No, I mean, I feel like we've talked about this before, and I'm trying to think what I said last time. But I don't know. I think to your point about the Premier League is just that we have such a good playoff format in the Champions League that it allows us to run the whole season like we do in the Prem, and that way we know that each match you play in the Premier League matters. Each match matters so much more without the playoffs. And then you still get it in the Champions League, and you get it with even bigger teams playing against each other. So it's almost like a perfect combination. And so when you try to kind of smush it together in the MLS, I think you're gonna you get to the point where really no one cares about the regular season trophy. No one cares. You care if you win the playoffs. So the playoffs are cool. I don't mind the playoffs, but it does lessen the value of the regular season, I feel like, a little bit.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, like, you look. I'm a basketball fan. I'm a Lakers fan.
Yeah.
Way more diehard. I used to be way more diehard than I am now. But I feel like that's how many people are. They're fans, but they don't follow them game by game. I don't particularly care too much about the regular season. I mean, that's also different because basketball has way more games. But like, I'll look at the result and I'd be like, it's cool. We beat the Pelicans or whatever.
You won, you lost, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's whatever. And then it's like, okay, by the end of the season, it's like, we're not gonna make the playoffs. Oh well. Okay, let's make the playoffs. Let's actually watch now. I feel like that's what it would be. But because of the financial divide that Andres said earlier too, many teams won't even have the opportunity to do that. It's just going to be like, okay, let's run the regular season. We did bad like we expected. All right.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just. I mean, again, that goes back to the whole promotion relegation thing because no punishment. But like, I don't know. I love the playoffs for what it is. I don't like what it does to the rest of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is one American thing that I think we could keep while also trying to grow. Personally, I mean, you look at like the final last year. I think it was one of the most viewed finals in a while, and even you had people on English Twitter being like, okay, look at like the limbs from the LAFC fans. Like we didn't. It was a great game, and there's a lot of foreign people were like, okay, we kind of underestimated this aspect of it, which is great. Like that's pretty cool. So I do like it that way, but
yeah.
Okay.